I love content marketing because I think it encompasses all forms of marketing. You can't have marketing without content, any form of marketing. So I don't think traditional marketing differs a whole lot from content marketing, or digital marketing or life cycle or anything else. Content marketing is like the glue for communicating successfully to your audience, right? Um, so it's fine. It's basically like fine tuning traditional marketing, where traditional marketing focuses on the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Content marketing is able to turn a product into a brand, a price into value, place into distribution, and then promotion into a user experience.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Wisenetix Podcast episode. I'm Ricardo Vivian, Business Development Lead at Wisenetix, one of the main companies when it comes to technical content production in the livestock industry. I'm a gold medalist in graphic design and the largest skills competition, the World Skills. And for the past 10 years, I've been adventuring myself in communication, marketing, but also education and business. About 2 years ago, I joined the livestock industry, and it's been a great adventure so far. And today, we're launching one more episode of this new project, the Wisenetix Podcast. This podcast has the objective of highlighting the profile of professionals and leaders that make the industry happen, more specifically in terms of business and marketing. And the idea also is to create a platform, a hub for people, professionals to share their ideas and visions about the industry, about the world, but also about themselves. Today, I have here with me Jodie Chapman. Jodie is the marketing manager at Anitox, a company that provides pathogen control and milling efficiency solutions. Welcome, Jodie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're really, really happy to have you here. So, Jodie, for us, we like to start with a brief introduction, from our guests, so the audience learn a little bit more about them. So, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Jodie Chapman, and I like you said, I work for Anitox as the marketing manager. We're a B2B biotech company. Prior to that, I worked at an agency that specialized in digital marketing and web design. And then before that, I was fortunate to write for several different publications across the country on several different topics, everything from city guides and restaurant reviews to political and state matters. So that was really fun. And then on a personal note, I also have 3 little guys, and they keep me running circles around them and my coffee. So yeah, there's all stuff.
That's one important part. Yeah. So your background is in marketing, communication, and more specifically writing then.
Yeah, content creation. Yeah, content creation, digital marketing, that realm.
Okay, that's good. You're a good fit for us then. Jodie, curiosities, like what are the 3 main experiences or achievements you had so far? And please they can be professional or personal.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So when I was working for the agency, we specialized in the hospitality industry. We had clients from mom and pop vacation rentals to high-end boutique hotels. And I remember working for a client one time, and they had very, very high-end vacation rentals, like $10,000 a day to stay at these vacation rentals. And we had to complete a branding and messaging package for them. As you could imagine, at that price point, they were very particular in every aspect of digital marketing, rightfully so. So we were able to work hand in hand with them and, listen to their vision, and then combine it and create something that had really only been an idea in their head. And And it was a valuable lesson for me in collaboration. And then also just listening to all of the fine details that people have, because really it's those details that make up the idea or the vision that they've got. So that was fun. And it was a fun, it was fun to kind of play in that space, because that's not my day to day. I don't stay at $10,000 a night vacation rentals. So it was fun.
I'm trying to imagine here how it looks like a room or the whole experience.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah. I mean, just amazing places, and in one of the most amazing cities in the US. So yeah, it was
Cool.
really fun. But yeah. Um,
Didn't they give you like a night for trial so you feel it and you can bring the right concept to the whole
really, yeah.
project?
Yeah, no, they didn't, but that's okay. I'm sure, I'm sure that maybe that offer stands somewhere down the road, hopefully. But yeah, and then when I moved on to my current role, my background, like I said, is in digital marketing. So I'm very comfortable there, and in that space and in the content space. And when I joined my current team, we do several in-person events, right? Trade shows being one of them. And trade shows are just kind of naturally a part of the B2B world. But it's not something that like I said, that I immersed myself in. So my first trade show that I did was not a small one by industry standards. And I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know the right questions to ask. And I needed to phone a friend probably more times than I should have. But it really helped me get over two hurdles, which was guesswork, just eliminating guesswork and learning how to raise my hand. Just like when you plan any large event, there's a ton of details to consider. And if you don't know the answer, you can't just cross your fingers and hope that you get it right. You really have to know what you're doing, because you could screw up something else essentially. So yeah, you don't want to affect the whole production by making wrong decisions somewhere else. So you have to find the folks who know the answers and ask the right questions. And it really is that. It sounds so simple, but for me, it was a learning curve. So yeah, but it was fun, and it did, it, went off well, and it was a lot of fun. And it's really something that I enjoy now. I enjoy doing trade shows and all of the details that are involved in them.
Yeah, being in touch with the livestock industry, this is a must, right? Like trade shows and things like, and for me, it's kind of a challenge, because we Wisenetix is a fully digital company. Like, we don't have headquarters or anything like that. And the idea for us is to keep in this arena. That's where we want to play. But, in person is such an essential part of this industry. Lots of the decisions and things, they happen, in-person events, conversations, trade shows. So for me, it's always a challenge to, understand and find a balance of hey, okay, in person is really important, but there's the whole digital world where you're gonna have access to people, and much easier than it's where they're gonna be in their offices and everything. You cannot just put yourself in a position where you're gonna be just traveling all the world to have your job done. So at least in the country.
It's a fair point, though, and I think that you guys do a really good job of, incorporating that in-person feel in a digital space. And there's a lot of really cool technologies out there now that you are able to do that with. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're never going to replace a face-to-face meeting. But there's a lot of good technologies out there.
Yeah. Jodie, so after our introduction here, we like to start talking a little bit more about business and about marketing. And the question we always ask for this transition is how would your parents describe what you do?
Yeah, they would probably say, I don't really know what she does. but she's really good at fixing my computer. So
Yeah, she works in her computer, like that's her profession. Okay. Yeah, I am a designer by my education was in design, so it's a hard time for my parents sometimes to describe exactly what I do. Well, nowadays it's easier because I'm doing other things also, but yeah. So now talking about marketing, Jody. You mentioned your arena is digital marketing. That's one of the things you're interested and have your expertise. So how do you compare, like how do you see uh, the presence of digital marketing and nowadays and how it's part of people's lives? Um, and also, how do you think that companies should bring the digital world to their strategies, the digital marketing to their strategies, to their way of doing communication and marketing?
yeah. Um, so I think the biggest change that we've seen is the way that we consume content. When I was growing up, and not that long ago, in the 90s, my dad used to read the paper every day. My mom would listen to the news reports on TV or on the radio. And the amount of information that we used to consume, or at least try to consume, was huge and probably unnecessary. Now, we turn to post on social media, or we skim blogs for like an overview of an event or an idea. We're given snapshots of products, whether they land in front of us by distribution, or we land in front of them by search. Um, and I think that, companies need to be really aware of that um, we don't have a long span of time to reach these folks anymore. And we need to stay top of mind in our respective spaces and create digestible content consistently.
Perfect. Yeah, about this volume of information, like they used to, our parents, old time, they used to, yeah, have a good volume of information, probably. But I feel one of the big changes from those types is like, for me, the volume is much bigger, but at the same time, it's much more, I don't know, I missed the word. Oh, by the way, if you're listening, I am Brazilian, so sorry for my English if I make any mistakes here. But it's shallow is the word. Like people are looking more like just for the calling, like the titles. That it feels like every time more people are paying attention just to the brief idea about the subject and not really diving into the content. Generally saying, I'm not saying everyone does like that, but it feels like, for me, it feels like the tendency it's for people to, yeah, don't dive too deep. They're not. I feel like most people are not diving deep into the content, and for me that's a challenge. Like I was reading this book, which I forgot the name, and I would have to translate right now. But basically, the author was saying, "Hey, we are in a moment, period of humanity where we have such great volumes of information that we are just learning how to ignore things, and our brain, like you're, scrolling through pages, seeing lots of content, but we are not really absorbing. When we are out there in the media channel, in social media or anything, you're fighting against not only like, sometimes we tend to think, oh, my competitors are these and these and that. Those are the group of competitors. Yeah, they might compete for your budget or anything like that. But when it comes to communication, I feel like every piece of information or publicity or anything that is out there is competing for the audience's attention. And it feels like it's much easier today to just to be ignored. We cannot pay attention to everyone. We would go crazy. I was just talking to one of our guests the other day, and I told him, like, I lost my grandfather this year. He was 93, so no, yeah, it's fine. Like he lived a good life, a long life. He was 93, and it was incredible because he could remember like the whole story, and he would give you the date, like, oh, in 10th of May of 1972, this happened, and I was like, wow, like how can you remember? And the point is, nothing was really like he didn't get all the information of what was going on in the world at that time, or like he has less inputs, right? And it was much easier. And today, it's really hard for us to retain things because it's too much information. Sorry for the whole talk here, but I just wanted to bring like this.
You're absolutely right. There is so much content out there. I saw some stat the other day and I can't remember what it was, but I mean, it was like, it was like terabytes of, content that's out there. I mean, it's overwhelming for sure. But I think that has made content better, in the way that we make content better because, you have to be, or people are going to just scroll right past you. So,
Yeah, no, it's not a surprise that clickbaits are getting like, they make this great call and then you see the content, wow, but
I know.
and then you gotta fight against this and have a consistent content, something that will bring value to people. It's it's almost like a war in my
I
vision. So
know.
uh and okay, so you brought this about digital marketing and linking that with content marketing. How do you see these differences of like how marketing was done, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, and how it is like the more traditional marketing, let's say, in comparison with content marketing? Like, how do you see the differences?
Yeah. Well, I love content marketing because I think it encompasses all forms of marketing. You can't have marketing without content, any form of marketing. So I don't think traditional marketing differs a whole lot from content marketing, or digital marketing or life cycle or anything else. Content marketing is like the glue for communicating successfully to your audience, right? Um, so it's fine. It's basically like fine tuning traditional marketing, where traditional marketing focuses on the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Content marketing is able to turn a product into a brand, a price into value, place into distribution, and then promotion into a user experience. So for me, it's like traditional marketing is like looking at a square, where content marketing is like looking at the whole cube. So, and it's fun. You really have a real ability to be creative and to think outside of the box. Pun intended.
Perfect. Yeah, I see this transformation happening in the livestock, especially because like working in Wisenetix, that's our focus, like content marketing, and I see like this transition of like, I really feel that companies like before social media, well, at least before social media had have been part of most of people's lives, it was much more product centered. And generally saying, people things were much more product centered, talking about features and why the product is great and everything. And now I love that the discussions, the conversation, I mean the communication of brands with people is expanding much more, and giving room to, they're not trying to, not all brands, but most brands right now, they're not trying to sell people, right? They are trying to, hey, let's have a talk. Let's talk about things generally, and then creating this bound, this relationship that is not like just a buy and sell
Yeah.
relationship.
Which is so nice. Like, it feels so human to me, so much more than just selling a product.
One of the things that I feel like since I started my career is that a few concepts, they were not really in well known or discussed in the industry in general. At least I was not seeing that. Well, I think I got like the raise of the subjects, which were like the communication of brands as people, like tone of voice.
Yes.
I started working in 2012, but I really feel like it has increased a lot, the number of times I listen to people and professionals talking about a tone of voice, about a deeper identity, something that really connects and to people, and makes engagement
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And you can recognize those brands, without them even identifying as, whatever their name is. I mean, when you can do that, when you can nail, your voice and your messaging, I mean, people really connect with that, I think. So
yeah, and I know like if we think like there are industries and industries, so I understand that livestock industry right now it's not in my opinion, in general, it's not in the same pace as other industries, and maybe having a company with a really human tone of voice and communication is is hard because of the audience, because of basically the context, right? If you compare, I don't know, to how a Netflix will talk to their audience in Twitter or anything like that, how they engage. And I'm bringing this more with the perception of how things are in Brazil, like how they answer to the comments and everything. It looks like, hey, it's so cool. I'm talking to a friend. It's not like a bureaucratic brand or company that is, following lots of procedures. No, it really feels like a true connection.
yeah, for sure. Wendy's is like the best. But I don't know if you've seen their Twitter. If you haven't, you got to go check it out. But they're so funny. But I think part of it too in the ag industry, anyways, is that, Anitox has been around for 50 years, and a lot of these companies have been around for a very long time. And they've been doing things the way they've been doing them successfully for a very long time. When you talk about like Netflix, streaming services, things that are relatively new, they're able to kind of make that space for themselves because they're new, right? So I think it's just kind of adapting to the way that things are moving and changing.
Yeah, and the type of they sell entertainment basically, so it's a different approach. It's not like, and this is one thing. Like another thing about balance for me is like, okay, we need to, and this is something we are trying to do here at Wisenetix. We want to show people that we are experts in terms of content. Like we have people and we have connections with like as we say, the brightest minds of the industry. So at the same point, we want to bring content and technical content and show credibility, show you're an expert. We want to do it in a way that is not boring for people. Like, okay, we're gonna create a podcast. It's fine. Well, we're not. We have it, but how do we make for people to engage with us? They're gonna be technical people, some people older, some younger, but mostly like with a good experience in the industry. How to create this image where you're an expert, but also you're not boring. You want people to learn with you, but you don't want to bore them. It's not like you're sitting in an old school class, like no, people today, in our opinion, the way we see things, people want to learn new things, but not they don't want to get like, hey, I gotta listen to this because I need otherwise.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think people want to learn new things when the new things provide value to them, right? Um, they don't, I don't. We're not just looking to go to school anymore. I don't think we need something that's really adds something to our lives. And as far as like technical content is concerned, I totally agree with you. I think that it should be shared from like a thought leadership stance. Sort of like, here are the facts. Here's how we interpret them, and here's how we can make a difference knowing X, Y, or Z. And yeah, and then I think it's important too to consider the platform that you're sharing it on, the audience that you're sharing it with, and where in the funnel you're delivering technical content. Because just like you said, you don't want to come off. You don't want to overshare, and B, you don't want to just share just for the sake of sharing. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, technical content and thought leadership, it's no different than sharing any other content. I think it really just needs to be four things to be effective, which is it needs to be clear, tangible, memorable, and like I said, it needs to be helpful. It needs to provide value.
perfect. So keeping here in the line of technical content, Well, basically, you gave the answer already, I'd say, but like, how do you see the importance of sharing technical content for brand positioning?
Yeah. Like I said, I think positioning technical content next to your brand and next to thought leadership and that I think it does need to be presented under the umbrella of your brand, and it needs to be presented as like, here's the information, and here's what we're doing with it, and here's how that affects you.
Perfect. And again, thinking about thought leadership and building authority, how do you got are you working in Anitox to make it happen? You know, how to create this thought leadership within the marketplace.
Yeah, we're trying to create an unwavering brand, and we have. Like I said, Anitox has been in business for a very long time. This is something that was established, um, you know, way before we started putting real effort into digital marketing and stuff like that. It already is there. So we just we've created this unwavering brand that has a consistent message. It's concise, it's cultivated content, and it's delivered to the right people.
Mhm. Can you and you probably you probably target different audiences, right? I don't know. Sometimes people more technical, sometimes decision makers that are not necessarily technical people. Uh, how how do you target those different accounts? Like if you have one social media channel, for example, or one blog, how do you make you create a community where you have content that will be aligned with this different creating a space for everyone to get a value from, even if they're technical or they're non-technical, or
Yeah.
how do you organize this?
Yeah. So in our marketing department, we work very closely with sales and with our technical teams. Um, and that allows us to sort of create content buckets, I'll say, where, we're delivering, the information that our our prospects, our customers are feeding back to us. So whatever they're telling, our tech team or our sales team that they want to hear, we're able to talk to that and deliver it appropriately based on, just like you said, a buyer persona.
Perfect. Customer feedback, essential. Good. And now, talking a little bit about your productivity and things like how you work. What's your favorite productivity hack?
Yeah. So I don't do a whole lot of blog writing these days, but since my background is in writing, one of my favorite productivity hacks is creating a blog outline. And I think it's so important. It's so important to so many different aspects of content marketing, not just for blogs, by the way, but for landing pages, for anything that you write and you're, trying to get it to reach the masses. They save loads of time. And there's a ton of ways that you can outline a landing page or a blog or a website page, any piece of content. But I like to use big idea keywords and then create relevant subheads underneath them. And I think it keeps the page focused and it keeps the brand consistent. And then also, and I know you're a graphic designer, so you can like shame on me later, but Canva, everything in Canva. I love Canva. I use it all the time.
We use it also, uh, and that's about technology. I don't hate, honestly. I don't like using it, but because I'm used to like adult softwares, so they're a little bit more professional and more complex. But that's because I'm that's my background. That's what like my early profession was. So, but I see a lot of value in Canvas because it makes communication much more accessible for many companies. And sometimes you don't have like a huge team with a graphic designer. I don't know, someone only focused on the layout, someone focused on the copywriting of ads, someone for I don't know, traffic management. So the reality is most of companies, they have like sometimes one person army. So this tools these tools help a lot companies. So I think it's a great innovation. And honestly, with the development of these tools, I see the people that stay in graphic design, they will be much more focused on like high level graphic design, not like volume, like
Yeah,
things you
like
do more
everyday,
in
like
volume.
sort of batch
Yeah,
con.
everyday posting in social media. There's
Mm-hmm.
no sense. Like it's a much better tool, in my opinion, if you have like a Canva where you can, be faster, make things happen. You have your identity, you have your templates, and then you organize them and make things work. You need to get your message out there. At the end of the day, you need to, and even though you're not doing just communicating for the purpose of communication, just posting for posting, you do need, in my opinion, you do need consistency. Do need a presence. So that requires your time, and you got to keep the ball rolling. So that's the thing. I like Canva, not for my use, but I like the concept of the product. And so, what are the underrated tools that are indispensable for your job?
I think the most underrated tool is probably just Google Analytics. And I know a lot of people use Google Analytics, but a lot of people either don't because they're able to they're able to gather that information from their CRM, or they just use some different form or however they track their metrics. I think Google Analytics, it comes off a little monster like because there's so much information in there, and there is a lot of information in there for sure. But the main thing that I think people don't gather from Google Analytics that they really could is SEO information. It's probably the best source of information to build any SEO program on. There's a ton of good SEO toolkits out there for sure. But if the goal is to optimize our content for search engines, well, why would you not use the
Search
program that's
engine.
built by the
Yeah.
biggest one out there? Yeah. So yeah, there's just so much in there that you can do. You can find out which pages obviously are the highest converting, and then make sure that you improve on those pages. And you can find keyword opportunities by tracking like internal site search. And you can use annotations to track what's working. If you make a change to your website, if you add a blog, if you add some keywords, whatever you're doing, you can track all of that, and it'll literally show you a timeline of, hey, this worked, and you can replicate it that easily. So it just takes the guesswork out of it. And it's free. So you can't beat that.
Perfect. Yeah, we use a lot of Google Analytics in our here at Wisenetix. It does give us great insight. So animation, it's free. So no excuses. Jodie, we are coming to the end of our conversation here, and I would like to have a few more thoughts from your side, but more like about yourself, your likes, and your vision. So first, I would like you to recommend 3 books to our audience.
Yeah. So I like I've said, I'm a writer. I love to write. One of my favorite books on writing is by Anne Hanley. It's called Everybody Writes, and it's seriously just the most practical book. Even if you're not a writer, I mean, it's so practical. She gives you, real life examples, real life problems that writers and, people who maybe don't consider themselves writers struggle with, and then real ways to solve them. And it's practical too for, whether you just write recreationally, just for fun, or if you do it for a living. It's so helpful. It's such a good book.
Who who is the author? Sorry,
It's Anne Handley.
Handley. Okay, I'm just taking some notes here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good one. And it's a super easy read too. It's a good one. But and then I just listened to an audiobook a few weeks ago called Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller. And it's like the perfect self-help book for a writer because he like breaks down the role of storytelling in real life and different characters' mindsets, and how, you know, you can choose to be that character in real life. And that's totally fine. But, you know, here's likely some scenarios on how that's going to play out. And then he talks about, you know, how to get the most out of life by maximizing a heroic mindset. So that was a good one. I like that one. And then my favorite book ever, and is Gone with the Wind. No Real Reason. It's just the best book ever. Margaret Mitchell is an amazing, the best writer in my opinion. So everybody should go read that at least once in their life.
And now about the future. And I asked this question to another guest, and my God, 20 years. 20 years feels like it's really hard to predict things for 20 years from now, right now, because things are changing so much. But in your opinion, like, how will the world look like in 20 years? And if you want to bring it to 10 years or 50 years, up to you, like, but the future, how do you see it?
That is, yeah. So I'll stick with like the digital marketing aspect, I suppose, because that's where that was the world we were living in, right? So, you know, I think digital marketing will continue to evolve, of course. And we were kind of talking about this in the beginning, you know, I hear people joke too that our attention spans are getting smaller and smaller, because the amount of content that we need sometimes, you know, in a buying decision is getting smaller. But I don't think that's true. I don't think it's getting smaller. I think that content creators are getting better and more efficient at creating, you know, content to put out there. So I think that will only get more efficient. I think we'll only get smarter. I think the way that we distribute things will only get smarter. I think we'll see AI get a whole heck of a lot smarter than it is right now and way more effective. And I think we'll be using it more. Yeah, and I think Facebook will probably finally admit that they've been listening to us the whole time.
Yeah. They don't need to admit, we know it. Like,
we know.
No chance they are not listening to us. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. You say, hey, I'm going to do a test here beside my phone, talk a little bit about Thailand, taking vacations in Thailand, and let's see what comes up in my Facebook later. No, that's it's not going to be the first time if they go right.
Yeah.
No, that was great, Jodie. I thanks a lot for coming over, for being part of this project. We're looking forward to, you know, bringing other great minds for us to great discussions, and maybe see you in the future. I was talking to a few guests. It would be great to have them again in the podcast in the future once our podcast is more established and I am a better prepared host.
No, you were wonderful. Thank you so much, Ricardo.
Yeah, thanks, Jodie. And thanks for everyone that listened to us, and see you on the next episode. Thanks. Bye.